Jesus, in John 10, 1 through 10, uses an image familiar to the people of his day to make a point about spiritual leadership. Those who listen to Jesus are led to abundant life, life to the fullest. John 10, 1 through 10. Very truly, I tell you, Jesus says, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another door, is a thief, an bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all of his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will not follow a stranger, but they will run from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Now Jesus used this figure of speech with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So again, Jesus said to them, very truly, I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep do not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. There are 4 doors that most evenings I am the one that checks on before I go to bed. And I usually do that because I am the one who falls asleep on the couch and then wakes up after everyone else is already asleep. And I go and check, make sure that the garage door is down. And then I check and make sure that the door between the garage and the house is locked. And then I check and make sure that the sliding door to the back, that is shut and locked. It doesn't lock anymore. We have one of those holes in the way, right? Because the lock broke a long time ago, and I'm not smart enough to fix it. And the last door that I check is the front door to make sure that door is locked before I turn and go up the stairs and go to bed. I'm normally the one who checks those things because I'm the one who's fallen asleep on the couch and then wakes up later at night after everyone else is asleep. And those 4 doors, after they're locked, sense of security. Last night I went to bed before my son got home. My son is never going to be able to sneak out at night because he is far too loud, and I'm glad of that fact. But he came home after I was already asleep, and I woke up to the sound of the door opening. And I heard the deadbolt slide into its latch, and I knew. Because you hear those sounds, and you know, door's locked, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. There's this sense of security behind the door. We've been exploring now for 3 weeks in Lent, we've been exploring the I am statements of Jesus. Jesus using the Greek form ego eimi, which is from all the way back in Genesis and Exodus when Moses has this encounter with the burning bush, and Moses takes off his shoes, stands barefoot before this burning bush because he knows that there's this holy thing that's happening, and Moses speaks to this burning bush and says, "Who are you?" And there's this voice that comes from the burning bush that says, I am that I am. It's a holy name. It's a sacred name. Now that in Hebrew, in the Old Testament, is transliterated into ego eimi in the Greek in the New Testament. And Jesus uses 7 times in the Gospel of John, uses the phrase ego eimi, I am. And each time Jesus says, I am something in the Gospel of John, he begs us to pay attention. It's as if Jesus is saying, this point right here, I want you to know. We have so far in our Lenten series, we've explored Jesus as the bread of life. Jesus says, I am the bread of life. I am the thing that fuels you. I am the thing that fills you up. I am the thing that will give you energy for the day. Jesus says, I am the light of the world. That's what we talked about last week. Jesus says, I am the light of the world. I am the one that illumines this world and illumines and lights your life, directs your pathways. Today we're going to explore Jesus, using again the metaphor, I am the gate or the door. I have 4 doors in my house that every night check to make sure. Are they locked? And behind those doors, and after those doors are locked, there's a sense of security. We do lots and lots and lots of things to build security into our lives. Whether that's a certain dollar amount in our bank account where we finally say, oh, that's okay. That feels good. I've made that goal. I have that emergency fund there in case something goes wrong, right? Or we have a whole collection of degrees on our walls, and we say, oh, fine, I have this sense of security. Look at all the accomplishments that I have done. I have a ton of books in my office, and I was thinking about this earlier in the week. I use those books as kind of a sense of security. Look at all the books that I've read, or at least the books that I've collected. We use all these things to give us a sense of security. Weapons are often thought of as a thing that will give us security. If I have this thing in my house, if something goes wrong, I can pull out this weapon and it'll protect me. Jesus says in John chapter 10, I am the gate, I am the door. And as Jesus says, I am the gate, I am the door, he's talking about, or using an analogy to sheep herders who would say, you are the thing that provides security for the flock at night. When things are scary and when things aren't quite right, I am the thing that will protect you. And it bids us and invites us to think about, where do we find security? Where do we find protection? Where do we find a sense of safety today? We do lots of things to build a sense of security. We check in with our partners and say, you okay? Are you okay? Are we safe today? There's lots of things that we do to build security in our lives. And we all know that there is opportunity any day for things to go haywire and for life to feel absolutely out of control. And again, we're filled with fear and we're gripped by this sense that life is upside down. Several years ago, the roller coaster called the Batman roller coaster came to Six Flags Great America in just north of Chicago. And I, as a college student, I went with some friends to Six Flags for a day. And the Batman roller coaster is one of the first ones that I had experienced in which you sit in your seat, right? And I don't remember if there was a seat belt or something, but there was a harness that strapped over your shoulders because there was no floor, right? Your feet were just dangling on the out of the roller coaster. And I can still remember being absolutely gripped in line, waiting to go on the Batman roller coaster. I knew that I was going to die that day. I absolutely was assured of my destruction. I knew I was going to die. I had seen the roller coaster go time after time after time after one line. I could hear people scream, and I knew that other people had come back, but I knew that as soon as I got on that roller coaster, I was going to die. And I was gripped with fear. I was close, probably now I realize I was pretty close to a panic attack, until I finally just came to the fact, or came to the realization, this is going to be the end of me. And I'm going to die as a 19-year-old, and it was a pretty good ride, but this is over. And there was this moment, right, when you get strapped into that roller coaster, And some high school student, younger than I was, comes along and says, checks the bars, you're fine, where you just have to trust. There's no amount of strength that you can hold on. You're going to be ripped out of the seat. You have to trust that you are secure. And on the roller coaster of life, I can think of many times where I was sure of my destruction, my own downfall. My guess is, too, you can think of times where you were assured of your own downfall. And you just simply had to trust in something. And Jesus, in this I am statement in John, invites us to trust in him. To trust in Jesus for security, to trust in Jesus for safety, to trust that Jesus has got you and will hold you. That's what doors do. They provide a sense of security. They provide a sense of safety. They give us shelter from the storms of life. But I also think about doors in another way, and I want to invite you to think about doors as something that provides security in your life. That Jesus can give you that sense of security. But I also want to invite you to think about doors. Do you remember when your kids were young, and maybe you knew that Grandma and Grandpa were coming, and you told them, hey, Grandma and Grandpa, they're on their way, they're almost here, you better go to the door and watch for them, right? I love that. That at the door, there's this place of anticipation, but it's at the doorway where people are welcomed in, right? It's at the doorway where people are welcomed. And the grandparents, their car, you see it driving down the street, and the kids, they run out and they wait for their grandma and grandpa to put the car in park, and you get out of the car, and there's hugs, and there's welcome, and then finally, you get them to come back inside. And there's this sense of welcome, there's this sense of greeting, there's this sense of, you are welcome here. And I want to invite us to think about Jesus as both the door that gives us security and safety, and to think about Jesus as the one who welcomes you as you are right now here today. It started service by saying some of us have had really terrible weeks. And I need you to know that Jesus welcomes you as you are and says, I am so glad that you are here. Come into my loving embrace. I am so glad to call you my child. I am so glad to call you son or daughter. I am so glad to welcome you home. There's 4 really big words on the back wall that we debated. What should we put on that really big space over there? And it's a bold statement to say all are welcome here. That rich or poor or young or old or insert whatever thing you want to, we say all are welcome here. And it's not just this church that welcomes, but it's God's embrace, God's grace that welcomes you and me and gives us security and gives us a sense of belonging. And Jesus is the door that welcomes us as we are. So I'm so glad you're here. Now, there's 4 other really big words on a banner in the back that say God's work, our hands. And so I hope and pray that you might understand that your safety and security belongs to Jesus. I hope that you might realize today that you are welcomed as you are, but if we talk about being a church of God's work, our hands, we have to understand that we, as people of God, we have to be the people then who are advocating for or who are working to give security to those who live with food insecurity, right? Because there are way too many people who in this community, who in our own neighborhoods, don't know where their next meal is coming from. And there are way too many people, there are way too many kids in school who have been told that they don't belong. There are way too many kids in school who have been shunned, who just can't get it right, who are awkward, who don't quite fit in. There are way too many kids who feel as if, or who get picked on at school because they don't belong. And you and I, we have work to do. Colton, you have work to do. As a student in Norwalk High School, Norwalk schools, to be people who give security to those kids who are getting picked on. And to be people who welcome and say, I'm so glad you're here. I know that you're sitting at that lunch table, but I want you to come sit by me. I know that you don't quite fit in. I know that you're new to this school district and you don't have friends yet, but you are welcome with me. Because if we believe that we are a church of God's work, our hands, that means that you and I, that we have a responsibility to be that security and that welcome for people who don't fit in. People who get made fun of. And people who don't know and can't trust in Jesus to give them that security. Jesus says, I am the gate for the sheep. Whoever enters by me will be saved, and will come in and will go out and will find pasture. Then we get to this really central verse in the Gospel of John, in which Jesus says, I have come that you may have life and have it to the fullest. Because if you and I know that God has got us, then we are free to live life to the fullest. And I got to tell you that I had the time of my life on that Batman roller coaster. I did. It was fantastic. Once I gave up and gave in, it was the best thing that had ever happened to me until I met my beautiful wife, until we had our kids, and until, right, all that stuff, right? But once you finally give in, Jesus says, I have come that you may have life and have it to the fullest. And we search for so many things that will give us security. We search for so many things that will keep us safe. And when we finally understand that it is God in Jesus Christ who has got a hold of us by his grace, when we finally understand that it is God in Jesus Christ who has died for us, that it is God in Jesus Christ who has welcomed us as we are, that we are welcomed into life and life abundantly, life to the fullest. Jesus says, I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and we'll go out and we'll find pasture. Would you pray with me? Lord Jesus, on this day, we trust in you. We give ourselves to you, for we know that you are the one who is security and safety. We know that you are the one that will hold us. We know that you are the one who has captured us by your grace. And so, God, on this day, we trust in you. We trust in you to find welcome, and we trust in you to find security. And God, as we receive those gifts, we also are people who are ready to give security to those who don't belong. We're ready to give a welcome to those who are in need. God, you are the gate. You are the door. You are the one who welcomes us, and you are the one who provides for us. We trust in you this day. Amen. We invite you to stand. As you're able, we're going to sing a song of response. What a beautiful name.